is entitled Complementary and Supplementary Angles. First order of business is to give the definition. Complements. Complement angles. Many textbooks actually have the wrong definition. Some textbooks just have the following. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees are said to be complements. Are said to be complementary angles. That's what a lot of textbooks say, but they're wrong. It's supposed to be two positive angles. Two positive angles that add up to 90 degrees are said to be complementary angles. Now let's also give the definition for supplements. Supplement angles. So when you read what's in the brackets, read what's in the brackets. Supplementary angles. That is, two positive angles that add up to 180 degrees are said to be supplementary angles. If you don't read what's in the brackets, then don't read anything in the brackets, in the parentheses. If you do read what's in the parentheses, that is the definition for supplementary angles, then always read what's in the parentheses. Always read what's in the parentheses. Now, how I remember which is which, well, first I remember that one is 90 degrees, one of those definitions is 180 degrees, and I have to remember that one is complement and the other one is supplement. Now this you have no choice about. You have to know that. And how I remember which goes with which is in the alphabet, C is before S. In the numbers, 90 is before 180. So the ones that come first, 90 comes before 180, and the letter C comes before the letter S. So 90 degrees on complement, they're a pair. That is, two angles are complementary if they add up to 90 degrees and they are positive. 180 degrees is paired up with supplement. Two positive angles are said to be supplementary if they add up to 180. So just because two angles add up to 90 degrees, by no means does that mean that the angles are complementary to one another. Only if they're positive. So what if you were asked to find the supplement of 60 degrees? And we'll call it sup of 60 degrees. Well, what do you add to our 60 degrees? First of all, 60 degrees is positive. What do you add to 60 degrees to get to 180? Well, 0 plus 0 gives me 0. 6 plus 2 gives me 8. And an understood 0 here plus 1 gives me 1. So there's my answer, possible answer. Since it's a positive number, that is my answer. 60 and 120 is 180. And if you just knew that, if you knew that 60 plus 120 is 180, that tells you the supplement to 60 is 20. Of course, you can do 180, take away 60, and find out that the other angle must be 120. Okay, either or. Addition and subtraction are pretty much the same. Okay, how about this question? Suppose you come to know that angle 1 is complementary to angle 2. Angle 1 is complementary to angle 2. Come to know that. If angle 2 is equal to x, if angle 2 is called x, is x degrees, then find angle 1. Then find angle 1. Well, complementary starts with C. I want the sum of the two angles to be 90. Well, if one of them is x, and you want to get 90, well 90, so how much do you add? Well, 90 doesn't have x's in it. I would first take away x. Right now this sum is 0. X minus x is 0. So I'll add 90. I'll add 90. And when you add those, the two x's cancel out, and you just get the 90. So the answer is 90 minus x. Of course, you can start with 90 and take away the angle that you have, and whatever is left over, namely 90 minus x, that's the other angle. The angle number 1 is 90 minus x, whichever of the two ways you choose to do it. Now, somebody asked me, what do you add to 72, say, to get 90? Well, if I take away 22, that brings me to 0. And now I just added 90. That adds up to 90. And that's the calculation you need to do. What do you add to 22 to get to 90? 90 minus 22, whatever that is, which happens to be 68. But if you want to find the complement of the following angle, find the complement of 52 degrees, 16 minutes, and 22 seconds. Well, what do you add to this to get to 90 degrees? How much you add to get to 90? Well, I don't want any minutes. Basically, I want 90 degrees, no minutes, and no seconds. Well, to get rid of the 22 seconds, you have to add enough to get to a minute, which is 60 seconds. 22 plus what gives you 60? Well, 2 plus 8 gives you 10, which is 0 carried to 1. That's 3, plus another 3 will give you the 6. So you want to add 38 minutes. I meant to say seconds. That carries over to 1 minute. Now you have 17 minutes. What do you add to 17 to get to 60? Well, 7 plus 3, 7 plus nothing gives you 0, so then you try 10. 7 plus 3 gives you 10, a 0 and a 1. Well, that's 2. Add 4 more, get the 6. So you have 17 minutes, and you add 43 minutes, you will get 1 degree. No minutes, 1 degree. Well, now, this is 53 degrees. 52 plus 1 is 53. What do you add to 90? of of 50 to 20 is this answer right here. 37 degrees, 43 minutes, 38 seconds. Now, in my opinion, to do this problem the more conventional way is way harder. The conventional way would be to subtract. It's harder. You need to have a better command. You need to know that 90 degrees is 90 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And you want to take away 52 degrees, 16 minutes, and 22 seconds. Well, you can't take away 0 seconds. You can't compute 0 seconds minus 22 seconds. You have to borrow. But there's nothing here to borrow from. So you borrow from here. You borrow 1 degree. And 1 degree is 60 minutes. 0 minutes plus 60 minutes is 60 minutes. Now, you borrow from the 60 minutes, and now you have 59 minutes. And the 1 minute you borrowed, you want to make it into seconds, which is 60 seconds. Well, if you have 0 seconds and you add 60 seconds, you now have 60 seconds. If you can do that, then this is probably the way to go. 60 minus 32, 38. 59, 38 seconds. 59 minutes minus 16 minutes is 43 minutes. And 89 degrees minus 52 degrees is 37 degrees. And we got the same answer as a moment ago. But you have to know how to borrow. Now, what if you were asked to find the supplement of 110 degrees, 17 minutes, and 13 seconds? How much is that? That's the question. Well, you know that 180 degrees minus the positive number that you have will give you the answer. You need to subtract. Okay. So you can make this 179 degrees and 60 minutes. And then if you borrow 60 minutes, so it becomes 59 minutes and 60 seconds. And you subtract 63 minus 13. Now remember, if you want to check subtraction, you would add those two numbers and you should get the 60. You should get 60. Now if you prefer to subtract and get 47, fine. I don't like subtraction. I'm stronger at addition. 3 plus 7 gives me a 10. 2 plus 4 gives me 6. So the answer is 47. 17 plus what gives me 59? 42. 42 minutes, 47 seconds. And 179, minus 110 is 69 degrees. And that would be the answer. 69 degrees, 42 minutes, 47 seconds. At this point, just want to do a straight subtraction problem. Not supplements, not complements, just straight subtraction. If you have 83 degrees, 16 minutes, 22 seconds, and somebody asks you to take away 11 degrees, 18 minutes, and 40 seconds. How would you do that? Well, you can't take 40 from 22, so you have to borrow. you borrow 1 degree. If you have 16 degrees and you borrow 1 degree, you have 15 degrees. Now you want to convert the degrees to seconds. You just don't put a 1 up there. That's not true. When you're in base 10, it's true. You have 22 degrees and you want to add a minute, which is 60 seconds. I meant to say you have 22 seconds and you want to add 1 degree, which is 60 seconds. 1 minute. Let's get it right. You have 22 seconds. There they are. And you want to add the 1 minute that you just borrowed to the 22 seconds. But I'm going to write the 1 minute at 60 seconds. When you add them, you get 82. That is, you add 60, not just 100. Don't just say 122. Okay, this is now 82. When you subtract, you get 42 seconds. Now, the minute column. You can't do 15 minutes minus 18 minutes. You don't have 18 minutes to take away. You only have 15. So you borrow. You borrow 1 degree. So if you have 83 degrees and you take away 1 degree, you borrow 1 degree, you have 82 degrees. Now, to the 15 minutes, you want to add on that 1 degree. But you're going to add it on as 60 minutes, because that is 1 degree. This is 1 degree. When you add them up, you get 75 minutes. So this is now 75 minutes. You take away 18, I guess you get 57 minutes. Yes. And 82 degrees minus 11 degrees happens to be 71 degrees. So you need to know how to borrow. Okay, you just can't blindly put a 1. That is, if you have 7 degrees and 6 minutes and you borrow 1, you can't just say, oh, now I have 16 degrees. No, because if you have 6 degrees, what are you adding to now have 16? If you have 6 minutes, what are you adding on to get 16 minutes? The answer is obvious. You're adding 10 minutes. But there's a problem there. You borrowed 1 degree, which is 60 minutes, but you only added on 10 degrees, 10 minutes. You only added on 10 minutes. That's where the problem is. If you have 7 degrees, 6 minutes, and you borrow a degree, you have to add on whatever a degree is, which is 60 minutes. It becomes 66. Why is this different? Well, in base 10, if you need to borrow from here, that happens to be the tens position. You borrowed 1 10, which becomes 10 ones. And when you add 10 ones to 3 or to 8, it's just like putting a 1 in front of it. You get 13 or 18. And that's always true in base 10. The column fills up at 10. Once you have 10, you carry over. This column does not fill up at 10. It fills up at 60. Okay, that's a very important concept. When you borrow, you have to make sure that you convert the units properly. Suppose you come to know one of 2 complementary angles is 3 times the other angle. 3 times the other angle. Find the 2 angles. Well, we know that they're complementary. That means they add up to 90 degrees. Let's call the other angle, say, x. Well, they tell you one of the 2 angles is 3 times x. The other angle I am calling x. One angle is 3 times x. So I have the 2 angles in terms of x. I know that their sum 3x plus x is 90. That is 4 times x is 90. X is the same as 1x. If you have 3 x's and somebody gives you another x, well, now you have 4 x's. If you divide by 4, you'll get x all by itself. If you suffer through the division, you'll get 22.5 degrees. So one angle is 22.5. Multiply it by 3, and you will get the other angle. Now, if you don't like decimal angles, remember 22.5 is 22 plus a half, or plus 0.5 if you like. Well, 22 degrees is 22 degrees, and a half a degree is 30 minutes. A whole degree is 60 minutes. Likewise, 67.5 is 67 degrees plus 0.5 degrees. That is plus a half degree. So you have the 67 degrees plus the half degree. And half a degree is 30 seconds. So if you want to answer just in degrees, here are the two angles. And you can make sure they add up to 90. If you don't like decimal degrees, here are the answers in degrees, minutes, seconds. Coincidentally, there were no seconds. Okay. Suppose you have the following. Okay. Suppose you have the following diagram. And unless otherwise stated, it's reasonable to assume that all the lines are straight line. All the lines are line. What seems to be a line is a line. That is, it is straight. Unless otherwise stated, everything that looks like a line is a line. And suppose you have A, B, C, and D. And you want to prove that this angle and that angle are supplementary. Prove that angle ABD, prove that angle ABD is supplementary to angle CBD. Angle CBD. Suppose you want to prove that. You've been asked to prove that. Okay. So, statement and reasons. S for statement, reasons. First thing is diagram. It's given. Okay. A, B, C, angle ABC is 180 degrees. This big angle, ABC. All straight angles are 180 degrees. Angle. So now I'm going to say that this angle plus this angle equals the whole. sum of the parts is the whole. Angle A, B, C, angle ABD, angle ABD plus angle CBD is equal to angle ABC, which I already know is 180 degrees from the line above. Sum of parts equals the whole. So statement 4, I'll say that this is 180 degrees because 180 degrees equals angle ABC, and when I just put the box around, also equals angle ABC. Angle ABD plus angle CBD, why this is equal to 180 degrees. If two quantities equal a common quantity, which two quantities? This sum and this angle, they both equal a common thing. They both equal, sorry, I take that back. 180 degrees, and what's in the box here, they both equal angle ABC. They both equal the same thing. If two quantities equals the common quantities, then the two quantities are equal. Okay, if you come to know that x and y, they both equal 70 degrees. If two quantities equal the same, a common quantity, they both equal 70, then x and y are equal. Okay, now run out of room, but statement 5 is just going to say that the two angles are supplement. It's just going to say this. It's just going to say that. And the reason is two angles that add up to 180 degrees are supplementary. Okay? I could have just said definition of supplement. The two angles, the two positive angles add up to 180. I could have just said by definition. And in a way I did. All I did was state the definition. Two angles that add up to 180 degrees are supplementary. There's two ways of stating the definition of supplementary angles. You can think by definition of supplementary angles, or you can state the definition. Okay. Try another one. Suppose you are given that you're given a diagram. And here is the diagram. Actually, I don't want to do that one. I'm sorry. How about you told that CD, line CD, is perpendicular to line DE? You want to prove something. What do you want to prove? Two lines meet at a right angle, and then you have a complement going there. You want to prove that angle CDF, angle CDF is complementary to angle FDE. Is complementary to angle FDE. And there's a picture with this, of course. You have CD and you have DE. And you have FDF. Okay. So CDF, this angle right here, is complementary to FDE, which is this angle here. Well, their sum is a right angle. So that's really going to be the proof to show that they're complementary to one another. So statement, reasons. 1, the given. CD is perpendicular to DE, and the diagram. Given. State the givens. You want to state them as two separate lines, the diagram being the second line. Good, so you have statement 1 and 2. Might as well just put everything down, statement 1 as their given. Okay, so we know that CDE, angle CDE, is a right angle. Perpendicular lines form right angles. That means perpendicular. Perpendicular lines form right angles. Now I'll say that it's 90 degrees. Angle CDE equals 90 degrees. Why? All right angles are 90 degrees. All right angles equals 90 degrees. Each and every right angle equals 90 degrees. Okay. Now, sum of the parts. Angle CDF plus angle FDE equal to 90 degrees. I just added the two parts, this part plus this part. That gave me the whole 90-degree angles. Sum of parts equals the whole. Okay. Well, if the sum of these two angles is 90 degrees, it's 90 degrees, then they supplement, then they complements. Again, I ran out of room. So I'm going to say this statement right here. Just rewrite it as statement number 5. Why is that true? Definition of complementary angles. Their sum is 90 degrees. Okay, really write that statement. Like on an exam or homework, write it down. Okay, so that completed that proof. If you come to know that two angles add up to 90 degrees, you can say that they're complementary. Why? Definition of complements. Same thing with supplements. Okay. Suppose just give you a nice figure. You have point A somewhere on the line, point B on the line, a point C, and a point D. And maybe we call this 4x, and we call this 2x. And you're asked to find those two angles. Exactly how much is this, exactly how much is this? Well, you know that the sum is a straight angle. The sum is 180. That is, the angles are supplementary. They add up to 180. If you have 4 x's and somebody gives you 2 more x's, why you have 6 x's? It's 180. 6 times what gives you 180? Well, the watt is called x, and I know 6 times 3 is 18, put a 0. 6 times 30 is 180. So I know x. But I don't really want to know x. I want to know 2x and 4x. But knowing x really helps me. X is 30. 2 times 30, 60. 4 times 30 is 120. And there it is. Those are your 2 angles. And they do add up to 180. When you do add them, you get 180. But that's not enough. A lot of numbers add up to 180. There are many pair of numbers that add up to 180. Like 20 and 160 add up to 180. But you have to realize that this is 2 times that. If you double 2x, you get 4x. If you multiply this by 2, you get that number. Problem is when you multiply 20 by 2, you don't get 160. But don't worry, we have it right, because when you multiply 60 by 2, you do get 120. Okay, that finishes that problem. Let's try another one. Okay, so let's try that other problem. Try one more, and that'll be it. Suppose that you come to know that 2 complementary angles are in the ratio of 2 to 7. And you're asked to find their 2 angles. Well, you know they're complementary. That means they add up to 90 degrees. And all you need to realize is that when things are in a ratio, they don't have to be 2 and 7. They can be any multiple of 2. The first one can be any multiple of 2, and the second one must be the same multiple of 7 in this case. That is 2x and 7x. One angle is twice some number. The other angle is 7 times that same number. So I know that when I add these up, on one hand, I get 90 degrees, because they're complementary. And on the other hand, I get 9x. Well, I know what to multiply 9 by to get 90. I think teachers push division way too much. We're better at multiplication. 9 times what gives you 90? 10. You think that's harder than 90 over 9? Okay, so x is 10. So twice x is 20, and 7 times 10 is 70. And those are the 2 angles. And they're in the ratio of 2 to 7. 20 to 70. Well, you can divide both sides in a ratio by any number you want. I choose to divide by 10. And I go, oh, look, I get 2 to 7 ratio. So that x is 10 degrees, but I don't want to know what x is. I want to know what 7x is and 2x is. But knowing that x is 10, that was very helpful. Okay, that completes the section on supplements and complements. Remember, complements add up to 90 degrees if they're both positive, and supplementary angles are any 2 positive angles that add up to 180.